in IT domain.
Uh, yeah, can you tell us something that is not mentioned in your profile, but we should know about?
Mm, Something that I wouldn't say that I would say is that is not mentioned in my profile is that in my free time I do really like I am an avid like I watch shows and things, and I am really into like music, specifically from singer songwriters. And Other than that, I would like to say that I would like if I had to use two adjectives to describe myself, I would definitely use the word empathetic and proactive.
Okay, Shubham, you
Can
can
answer,
ask.
you can ask from her technical and her job work experience with you, and Ayush also.
Whose interview are we taking, sir?
Rona. She has studied electronics and telecom, and she's been working for last 2 years, 2.5.
Uh, could you tell us a little about your job and what you're doing?
Uh, yeah, sure. So a lot of my job involves doing automation, and mainly my day-to-day role includes using the firm's existing softwares and coming up with strategies and tools to make it better. So in short term, we try like for short term solutions, we try to raise any issues promptly, and we discuss the severity of it and how much it is impacting the users, and accordingly we take calls, and we keep track of all of these things to eventually look at long term solutions. Like recently at our job, we are doing a migration shift from one of our existing tools that is used for running reports to a completely new tool, which the IT side of the firm is helping us with. But we are sort of a bridge between the IT people and the end users. So we collate feedback from them, and we strategize and discuss the governance and everything surrounding it, and implement those strategies, and we give feedback to IT, or we give them our requirements as to how we would like the new tool to be. So it is like if I had to use three words, I would say that it's automation, governance, and strategy. These are the three things that I mainly do, other than doing day-to-day business activities and running a few reports. Um, some of the key projects I have been involved in would be something called an escalation module, where in Python I built an entire module that would monitor the SLA of reports, and to
Uh,
break it down in.
just a
Sorry.
minute. Yeah. I think you're just going on and I did not ask about that part yet. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Could you
Yeah.
repeat your
Yeah.
question?
Could you just tell me about could you tell me what tools and all you're using for automation and
Okay.
what sector?
Yeah, sure. The tools that I'm using are Python, Alteryx, Power BI, and the sector of my firm is finance, but I am dealing with the IT stuff of it, using these three tools for automation, mainly Alteryx, Python, and Power BI.
Okay. Okay. So, Power BI would be for some sort of dashboarding.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
right. So, could you just tell me about, give me an example of what you worked on, maybe like a use case?
Okay, sure. So, using Python, I built a
I
project.
asked about Power BI.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I'm just
okay,
coming
okay.
to that. Like I
Yeah,
use
okay, okay.
Power BI, so I'll just get to that in a minute. So using Python, I built an entire workflow that sends emails to users if their reports are delayed, and we track it at a firm level across all regions. So after this was made, the next step that I did was I built a Power BI dashboard for it. So that dashboard essentially allows you to break it into region wise, asset class wise, or like frequency wise. Suppose it's a monthly report, daily report, weekly report. So all of that data that we would collate to present it at a higher level, or even for users if they want to filter out their own reports, their own asset class, or their own region. For that, I used Power BI to make a dashboard for the same.
Okay, okay. Uh, just one more thing. Can you tell me the difference between Power BI desktop and Power BI services?
Uh, okay, I am not sure on that actually. Like I have been using Power BI desktop. I know that one main difference is I think Power BI services allows like cloud usage and it allows you to store data and those things, but we don't actually have that yet at our firm. So I haven't used it. I have mainly used the Power BI desktop.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think anyone here can ask questions.
Ayush, you have any questions regarding
Regarding,
your work experience?
um, not really, sir.
What about from
Uh,
electronics? From any questions, Vizi and Ayush?
Sir, I could ask
uh,
more
s-
if.
Yeah, carrying on.
Yeah, okay. Uh, yeah, you said you also deal with governance and the
Yes.
IT part of things. Uh, maybe so or you said automation, so I
Hmm.
would assume it would optimize things and increase efficiency,
Yes.
things like that, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Hmm.
could you give me a use case where you've contributed in such a way and the outcome?
Sure. So we have a monthly report, which is very important. And without getting into a lot of details, it was a task that used to take us say like around like a good amount of hours, like 5 6 hours per day to complete that task when it would come, and it was prone to operational errors. So in the past year, like we have changed it completely, wherein we have built the entire workflow like instead of using Excel VBA, which it used to be earlier on and required a lot of manual copy pasting as well. We shifted it to one of the approved platforms in our firm itself, Business Objects, and we sort of did the end-to-end processing over there. The reason it wasn't on it already was that when this whole thing was made, BO did not support it, but now Business Objects supports the functionality of having multiple tabs. So I went ahead and I built the entire template for that. And we use Excel only for formatting now. So the runtime has come from like 5 6 hours of doing all of this to say 20 30 minutes at max. So this is one place recently where I have done automation and also
Okay.
reduced the operational errors.
Okay, okay. And just out of curiosity, is
Yeah.
there any sort of FT reduction or something, or is it just time saving mostly?
Sorry, can you repeat which reduction?
Uh, FTE reduction,
Uh,
full-time employees,
no. It's just
times.
it's just saved time and
Okay,
helped us with operational errors. That's all.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think I'm done asking so about the
Can you
workex.
ask, can you ask from electronics and telecom? Ayush, Vizi.
so what were the hands-on projects you have worked while you're engineering, with regards to electronics and engineering?
Okay. Yeah. So, like, I'll mention two major projects that I've done. One was, of course, my final year project, which was climate classification using landscape images. So, we mainly used machine learning to basically gather sets of images and classify them into different types of forests or forest zones. The major application that we had in mind while building it was that it would help as an educational tool for students in classes, mainly for subjects like geography. And another project that I've worked on was for eYantra robotics competition that is hosted by IIT Bombay. And over there, we had to make a bot which, like, it was across 6 stages, and we had to make a bot which would finally pick up a parcel and be able to put it on the conveyor belt. Finally, I helped design the tracking web page of for that in the project since it was a group project. My part involved developing a tracking web page for it.
Uh, could you explain machine learning to a layman?
What? Ach-
Yeah, just one thing. Yeah, you can continue after.
To explain machine learning to a layman, what I would basically start with is how, as humans, in our brain also, when we do things again and again, we sort of develop a subconscious approach towards dealing with things and how we go about it, even if we aren't consciously realizing it. So, machine learning is the same way for a computer, where it uses artificial intelligence, and it keeps learning and improving itself the more data you feed it. And like some examples of how it does this would be, using different neural networks.
Yeah, Ayush, you can continue.
What tracking software were you talking about,
Okay.
in your
Yeah.
project?
Yes, yes. So the main thing that the project did was a robot like would just raise its arm, pick up a box, and put it on the conveyor belt. But at the same time, like once it does that, we had to like track the shipment as well. So we had a web page where it would show a map, and like on the map, like we would have pins like red, green, blue pins, different colors of pins to highlight like where our package is going, what the ETA is, and things like that. So I did the coding for it in JavaScript. Uh, and it was mainly to track the shipment of whatever the robot is putting on the conveyor belt to see how long it will take to reach and all. And we used Google Sheet as a like we used an Excel table in Google Sheets as an input to it. So like we would put in the time in whatever on the Google Sheet, and it would reflect on the dashboard of the web page.
You mentioned that you use JavaScript for your coding. Why did
Yes.
you particularly use JavaScript? Python is supposed to be
So
much more easier
yeah.
language.
So actually, this was part of a competition hosted. So we were told which language to use. We didn't have a choice to select
Oh,
by ourselves.
and
It
what
was
languages are you proficient in?
mostly Python and Java too to a certain extent, but mainly like use Python in my work and my final year project
Were you
also.
at all involved practically in any project? Like, did you have any hands-on experiences on soldering, maybe, or like any other electrical
Um,
method as such?
Not really, other than first year workshop. So no.
Okay. What did you do, in your first year workshop? What was it about, and like, what
We
did you
in
do?
the workshop we had this segment called PCB designs. So over there we like do soldering, like you mentioned. Like we had that breadboard sort of a thing wherein we like had wires going into it and all of it, and like under the supervision of the lab processors, we would use the soldering equipment and melt it and like join the ends of two wires. It wasn't really to do anything, it was just an experience to learn how to solder. So under their supervision on the breadboard, we would just smolder the wires or something like that.
So was it only just soldering?
So in the workshop we had like we would have different things throughout weeks. So like 2 weeks were soldering. Then after those 2 weeks we would be doing like electrical circuits or something like that, like parallel series connections on the breadboard and things like that. So we had different workshop. Like we had a workshop where we also made like out of tin we made a best out of a waste sort of a thing. I'm trying to remember. It was yeah, we made a basket out of like plain tin sheets by hammering and all of those things.
Okay. I think that is it from my side, sir.
Rona, take any
Yes.
subject from your undergrad studies.
Sorry, sir, could you repeat? From my undergrad study, what should I do?
Take any one subject or course
Uh, okay, sir. I'll go with digital circuits.
and explain the basics of digital circuits to us.
Okay. So digital circuits essentially is a part of electronics, and what it deals with is at a micro level how things work. So anything that is done at the hardware level is done in binary forms, which involves zeros and ones. And these zeros and ones will be in the form of inputs and outputs. So, but there are operations that need to be performed in the midway. Like, how would we know if we are giving zero, what the output would be? So, for that, we have a concept called gates. And there are a lot of different types of gates, like, for example, AND gate. So in case of AND gate, your output is true only if all your inputs are true. Otherwise, your output will always be false. For OR gate, your output is true when any one of the conditions is true. The only time it will be false is when all of your conditions are false. So these are just some basic like gates, and we have a lot of gates. NAND gate and NOR gate are called the two universal gates because we can make any gate using these two gates. And these gates further help us make things like flip flops, multiplexers, demultiplexers, coders, encoders, and K maps and things like that. So,
Okay, okay, that's good. Yeah. Any other questions?
Uh,
Anybody from Rana?
you mentioned about gates. What kind of gates, logic gates do you know? Can you mention a few?
okay, yeah, sure. I know AND, I know OR, I know XOR, I know XNOR, I know NAND, NOR, and NOT. I think, yeah, this
What
covers
does
it.
XOR and X not
Okay,
do?
yeah. So XOR gives you a true output when all of your outputs are different. So if I have a table, let's say A and B are my inputs. If the inputs are different, like one
What does
zero or
what does X not mean?
X
What
naught
does X
means
not do?
X naught will give you a high output. High output means one when all of the inputs are the same. So if I give 111 or
Okay.
000, X naught will give me a true value.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Why do you want to do an MBA?
Um, Um, so during my engineering, I think that I had developed like a foundation for problem solving and analytical thinking, and it helped me a lot when I actually got hands-on experience, be it during my internship or my work, and I got a chance to see like how vital decision making is as well, other than the technical things that I do day to day, but how driving business growth actually requires decision making. It gave me a long term perspective and sense of how collaboration with stakeholders are so essential to find both short term or long term solutions. And as much as I've learned, I think that to move into leadership, I need a better understanding of the bigger picture in terms of like planning and financial management. So I think an MBA would be the right step for me because it would like help me not only become a manager but also like have teams or lead teams that would eventually drive innovation at the intersection of technology and business.
Which company are you working for currently?
I'm working at a investment bank, like GP.
Okay. Okay. So, you could learn all of these things while working also, and then eventually become a manager and things like that. So, since you've already
Yeah,
been working, yeah.
yeah, I could like work and become a manager eventually. I don't think that I would doubt that. The only thing that I feel like an MBA will help me with a lot is that give me a holistic view of how businesses actually work and help me with peer to peer learning and all of this. Like, I'll get an insight to a lot more perspectives
Which of
instead
I
of, sorry, sir, were you saying something?
no, no, I was
Oh,
telling I
yeah.
was Which of Sigma. Yeah,
Okay.
carry.
Yeah. I think it will give me a bigger and holistic picture instead of just the technical aspect I'm working on now. So I want to understand and I want to help contribute to business growth in a strategic way also, for which I think an MBA at this point will be like a correct step for me. Because this early on, I don't think I'll get that exposure outside of MBA. Like, if I just do my job, I'll probably be doing technical stuff for a lot longer and not get this sort of exposure until like a few years down the line, which I'm very keen to get now.
What are your strengths and weaknesses, Ronak?
Yeah. Okay. So for my strengths, I would say that I am hardworking. I can work very well within deadlines, and also I am very proactive with my approach, and I believe in taking accountability and withholding transparency in whatever work I do. In terms of weaknesses, I think that sometimes I get a little hesitant when I have to put forth my ideas in front of a very large group, and I'm trying to work on it by trying to within my work, for example, like I'm trying to get into meetings where I get to represent my team or something like that, so I can get used to it and take a little bit charge of it. So I'm slowly working on it, but that is one place where I get a little hesitant to share my ideas.
Okay, Vidhi and Ayush and Shubham, how did you find Ronak?
I think she was very fine. I think, and the only part I think where she could tweak herself a bit is knowing the basics of electronics, because I believe that any person doing a BTech in electronics should have few basics of what different processors are being used in electronics. Apart from that, I feel that everything else was very fine.
You didn't ask anything on processors, did you?
I did trying asking her to mention what she has learned as a hands-on experience while doing electronics, but like she was only able to tell soldering and a few basic things which was taught to us probably in school or maybe in 11th or 12th.
Vidhi?
At least I felt so. I am not really sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think her technical, on the contrary, I think her technical part was pretty strong. Considering she's also been working for a while, she was answering the electronics part of things quite well. I just think the tell me about yourself, mentioning all the marks is not that necessary. And I had also asked for a tell me about yourself within a minute, which uh, like she exceeded a bit. And I think her answers could be a little more concise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Vidhi that maybe you need to make your answers little concise. But overall, find you a good candidate, enthusiastic and not getting nervous and answering well. I think
Okay, yeah, sure, sir. Yeah, I'll keep that feedback in mind, both of them making answers concise. And yeah, I think I've been revising graduation, but like Ayush was talking about the lab stuff. Yeah, I haven't brushed up on that. So I don't like remember the reason I wasn't mentioning microprocessors and all was because I wouldn't have known the answer to follow-up questions. So I thought it was safer to not like bring it up myself. But yeah, I'll look into the lab stuff also once.
yeah, but and get all that is good.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Okay.
I think you have been working on it, no?
Yeah, sir. I've been trying to study the graduation subjects mainly.
Since
For the past few days.
since we had Vidhi and Ayush today, that's why I asked them to test you technically. Generally,
Mm-hmm.
do any time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Questions?
Uh,
Any
um. eh, Okay. So not really. It's just like in terms of like the state and city. Like since I've been living here for so long, I just wanted to ask once like what sort of things should we know? Like I was seeing some transcripts and like people mention things like how many rivers are there in Maharashtra and uh, like those sort of questions. So, are there any particular things that we need to know about the state or?
See, generally the most common question is tell us something about Bombay which people don't know about or which is very famous.
Okay.
something
Okay.
about Maharashtra which is very famous. So that
Okay.
would, you don't have to know all the rivers and all the districts and everything. I mean, that's not able to know.
Okay, yeah, and also, so like one common question I've seen like across transcripts for like since Shillong is the nearest was that tell us something you know about Shillong that's not on the website. I mean, in this case, like I don't know anybody at Shillong either, like who's doing an MBA there. So in this questions, like, can we just look for facts about the city and not the college, or
Yeah, but that would be from the web only, na?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you don't
So
get
like,
it. Since I've never been here and I don't know anybody here, the knowledge I have about Shillong would be from the web page only.
okay, okay,
And then whatever little bit you know about the city, you tell them.
okay. And so like in the end, if they ask us something like, do you have any questions for us? What sort of questions should we ask them?
Basic question you ask them is that since the course starts in June or July for whichever
Mm-hmm.
I will join for MBA, and
Mm-hmm.
have uh, since I have a technical background only, so if you could advise how I should prepare for the course, because I
Okay,
have to be very rigorous,
okay, okay.
especially first few months. So that would be of much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, uh, got it.
Sir, is there any sort of disturbance coming from my end in the background?
There was some disturbance that time.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were moving around, so that's why I asked.
No, sir, I live in a hostel, right? So there's music playing in every other room here.
Okay, fine. Uh, Vijay, you can stop this recording now.